Hello, and welcome to a game called Mini Murder Mysteries. Short little game where you're a detective solving murders. It's pretty straightforward. I played the demo for it a couple weeks ago in the Steam's Demo Fest. Really good. And it released in full a couple days ago, so here we are. I wanted to record it. I'm gonna do it, despite how poorly the Rick I did. Because like I said, I don't do this for views. I do this for me. And I feel like slowing down to reading everything out loud is going to help me go through the evidence. A manor house set deep in a country estate. A lord found dead in his study. A raft of suspects. We need you to figure out what happened. Manors cost nothing. A rich guy pushing up daisies, and a board chock full of time to dig in and see what we're looking at here. That went quicker than I thought it would. So basically, we have statements from 4 different people that we can go through. We have a board full of evidence. These are considered the key evidences to go through. But we can do it in any order. If I hit this, does it do anything? No, it just brings it here. So we're going to use all these blanks to fill in these and create the story. So say we pick on this, gives us this. We got a couple of new blanks to use when we try and create the solution to the mystery. But that's just half of it. We actually do have to pay attention to all this information. So without further ado, the legal letter. Eddie. As your friend more than your lawyer, I feel like I should flag this change will not only seat Mallory as the heir to the manor, it will mean James inherits effectively nothing upon your passing. Is that definitely what you want? Bear in mind, it's not as though that the lovely new wife of yours isn't fabulously wealthy already. I'm fine to enact this if so, but just thought I should present things clearly. A. Alright. So we know Eddie the deceased. Well, we're assuming Eddie is the deceased. His friend is his lawyer. He has a new wife, but he also has a son from his previous wife. So we have possible motives already. Next, we get a burned letter. Should that be burnt letter instead? I don't know. The bottom half of a handwritten letter, half burned and ink smeared, found inside the fireplace hearth. Think it's been hidden in there for a while. What I can make out of what's left reads, already been poisoned against you, but there may be time to turn things around if you change your ways. The life of a lord doesn't need to be this hideous. Fail to do so, and I will have to do something drastic. Sincerely, X. Alright, so with that, in that context, I'm assuming it means people have been poisoned against you. I can't actually read that part there. I wish I could. We'll get back to that, I'm sure. Fireplace. A brick fireplace stands grand and proud against the east wall of the study, with a stack of logs to one side and family portraits above it. The fire has gone out, but it seems like it was burning all night. Shattered into pieces at the bottom of the embers is what appears to be the remnants of a whiskey glass. Nowhere to tell how it got there or when, but there are tumblers that match the glass pattern on a table in the corner of the room. A half-burned piece of paper lies on the hearth. But if we go back to the burnt letter, does it not say it was in there for a while? So maybe it wasn't burnt last night, but burnt a while ago. depends on the time frame, which they're a bit more specific on the time frame. But we know there was some sort of accident or maybe anger. As people in movies and shows normally will like smash their drinking glass into the fire in a fit of rage. Or it could have been a fight. Someone got a glass thrown at them and they ducked and they missed. Who knows? A receipt. A receipt in the victim's pocket details gear brought recently from some kind of fetish emporium. Whips, handcuffs, masks. Some serious stuff here, which poses more questions than it answers. For example, who was the Lord using this stuff with? Or did someone know about this who shouldn't? In my experience, cases in less glamorous surrounds than this, with less auspicious suspects, have found themselves blackmailed for much less. Okay. What about this one? Oh, we got a rifle. A large hunting rifle lay on the floor by the victim. I think it may have been knocked off the nearby wall during whatever happened. It looks like it's at least 100 years old. Intricately carved etchings adorn almost every part of it, making it look more like an ornament than any kind of functioning weapon. It hasn't been fired, and it's not loaded. Okay, so this might only tangentially be related to this case. Oh, wallet. There's no ID in the victim's wallet, but the ultra-wealthy tend not to need any. What we do have is a receipt up on the evidence board. £350 in pounds sterling, and a bunch of barcoded membership cards for various snooty country clubs. In amongst them is a business card for an Annabelle Higgins, a lawyer specializing in estates and family affairs. On the back, someone has written, "Eddie, if you forget my number again, I'm going to shove one of these cards down your throat." That seems just like friendly banter, especially what we know from A, which is almost likely Annabelle Higgins, the lawyer. So we have a name to a piece of evidence. What about this? Ooh, a mysterious note. I've been watching you with some interest, detective. The eye of justice will fall upon you, as it has for those you've condemned. MC maybe? Oh, it could just be fancy, I don't know. MO, yeah. That's weird. I don't think this note is related to this case. In fact, it seems to be addressed to me. I'll keep hold of it for future reference. So we got an overarching plot happening. I did note that in this dev's next game, the detective makes a comeback, so maybe it's something to do with that. A family photo. A framed, candid photo of the lord and lady of the manor laughing and walking, taken somewhere in the sprawling grounds on a summer's day. They seem happy. Less happy is the young boy in the background of the photo, presumably the lord's son. He sits in an old swing looking at the ground, his face gloomy, dark. Having this particular photograph framed seems odd, as if they didn't even realize the kid was in the picture. Oof. That is rough, buddy. The Manor. A grand brick-built beast of a house, surrounded by landscaped gardens and dense woodland beyond. It must be a couple hundred years old, but it's seen better days. It's one of those places where the money is tied up in the bricks, and the bricks are deteriorating. I guess if you were inheriting a place like this, you'd be best off selling it. Don't get me wrong, the place is impressive, but it's impractical in a way only very old buildings are. And now it's been tainted with murder, to boot. Okay. So whoever was to inherit it might be looking to sell it, then, if it's a smart move. Interesting. We have a shopping invoice. Wingard's Artisanal Grocer, Sterling Manor, February. Pork shoulder 4, roasted chicken 5, beef joints 1, venison loin 3, seasonal vegetable hamper, cheese wheel selection, seasonal fruit selection, sundries. We got toiletry provisions, herbs, spices, oils, milk, bread, eggs, rodenticide, locally ground coffee and tea, for a grand total of £1,850. £1,850, I should be more precise. What about this one? In January. Okay, so we have two different invoices. 6 pork shoulders, 3 rotisserie chickens, 4 beef joints, 2 venison loins, a seasonal vegetable hamper, cheese wheel selections, fruit selection, toiletries, as oils, by bread eggs, locally ground coffee and tea for $18.30. So did the price went up. So the rodenticide, like they got 2 less pork shoulders, 2 more chickens, 3 less of those, 1 more of those. I believe those are the numbers I'm looking at. 2. Okay, it's not quite. I wonder if we're gonna have to price things. Anyway, let's get into the main. Underneath a stiffly ironed collar and a blood-red cravat, the victim's neck bears some visible bruising. The setting of the indentations, the way the markings are spread apart, clearly line up with where a pair of human hands would wrap around the neck. The location of the more prominent thumb indentation suggests it was done from the front. Can't tell yet if this was the cause of death, but if the victim was strangled, he saw who did it. 2. The victim lies on the floor in the middle of the room, seemingly having fallen backwards over a chair near the fire. I'm not one for judging the dead, but this is the face of someone who didn't do a whole lot of smiling. Every feature is rigid, every line sharp. Around the mouth there's a smattering of a white powdery residue, but there's no way to know what it is this side of the lab analysis. Lifeless shark eyes stare up at the most expensive ceiling this side of the Vatican. White powder, hey. The state of the victim's hands presents something of a contradiction and a trove of possible secrets. The soft, pudgy fingers are those of a person who's never known an honest day's work, but the knuckles that look like they've just beaten a brick wall into dust. There's a ring bearing some family sigil on the right, and a big, weighty gold wedding band on the left. The latter seems to be a recent adornment. The skin underneath it isn't any different to the rest of the finger. So yep, we have a new wife, recently married. But then it begs the question, did he not wear a ring with his previous marriage? How many of these have I got? So yeah, I use these to do this. I forgot I got the wrong way around. Because obviously we're not going to use all these, it's just give me options. Let's look at the first statement. We have Lady Sterling. Don't look at me like that. I know what you're thinking. Rich lord, a young new wife. It writes itself, doesn't it? But Edward and I were different. We were special. And we had a connection that people like you wouldn't understand. The fact of the matter is that I would never, could never, kill my husband. He and I may have done a great many interesting things to one another, but that's neither here nor there. And in fact, none of your business. My husband is dead, detective, and I'm clearly very upset. Why don't you go and bother somebody else? Little defensive, but maybe they are just grieving. Hard to tell. Alfred Novaks. I have been Lord Sterling's butler for over 30 years, so to be considered a suspect in all this is frankly insulting. In all the years I've worked here, I've only ever been the very personification of the 3 P's. Professional, punctual, and polite. Note, Mr. Novaks then mumbled something about a 4th P, but it was unintelligible. I've served this house through many changes. The new Lady Sterling, for instance, and her interesting hobbies, which I shan't go into. But Master James trumps all, whether he ends up owning this estate or not. Protecting young James is my one priority. I hate when I notice things like that. It should be an or not in there. The author, like Dev did say, he's got small typos to fix, I think. Alright. Annabelle Higgins. If I had a penny for every time one of my clients ended up getting themselves killed, I'd be an even richer woman. But then, that's what you get for exclusively dealing with old money types. But the thing of it is, Edwin wasn't just a client. He was my friend. And he had been since our school days. So, no, of course I didn't kill him. He wasn't a perfect man, but who is in this day and age? Look, if it's useful to you, I have some letters that cover some more recent updates to his will. But anything further, and you'll need a warrant. I learned a lot about Edwin over the years, but those secrets die with me. So far we got possible hiding something, because she's defensive. There's a fourth piece, so maybe there's something. Pissed? Who knows? And then we got who I think is the least likely, but that could end up being the actual murderer at this point. Anyway, we do get the son, James Sterling. How am I going to do this voice? So hang on. Hi, my name is James Sterling and I'm 11 years old. I didn't kill my father and I don't know who did. This whole thing has been very scary and very sad, but Alfred says everything's going to be okay, and I trust Alfred. Father's new wife, Lady Mallory, keeps saying she feels belittled by Alfred, but I don't know what that means, and I don't know why she would have a problem with Alfred. He's only ever been really nice to me, and people are always nice. Can I go now? Note, the boy started rubbing his arm as though he was in some pain. Could be possible the Lord was abusing the child. Alfred, protective of the child, attacked the Lord. But that's a very soft theory to start with. I can't click on any of these. Except that. Okay. So, is this really all I have? I swear I had more in the demo. Let's just look at how to play again real quick. Okay. Maybe there was, and maybe the main games are supposed to be a bit harder. So what do we know? We know he was friends with Annabelle Higgins. We assume he and his new wife don't care much for the son. We know he was... Well, actually we don't know who was strangled. These strangle marks could be from what he and his wife do. We know he was found by the fireplace. I believe. Yeah, near the fire. There's a powdery residue. Everything was ostentatious. So let's look at the sheer amount of meat. We got 9, 13, 15 servings of meat. Oh, rodenticide actually. That could be the powder. He could have been poisoned. He could have also possibly choking himself, like grabbing his own neck. But but I also think it's more than likely the him and his wife's nightly activities. So we got 9, 10, 13 again. So I think the amount of meat is the same. I did lose track. No, 15. So someone bought 2 less servings of meat in February. That's interesting. So he's punched things before, but he hasn't worked. So that supports my theory that he was possibly abusive to his child, especially with the rubbing of the arm that might be hurt. He did get some threatening. Really wish I could read the other part of it, like I could examine it myself. But I have all these now. Something Lord. Lord Sterling. That's how we started. I'm going to go with Butler to stop his wife from inheriting money. I believe that's the one I think, because the strangling seems like a red herring. We can cancel it for now, because if we go back to the velvet restraint, we know he's into some fetish. Well, his wife is. Like, I don't think blackmailing was ever part of it. I do reckon the butler might have been more loyal to the old wife. And that's why he's loyal to the son, and then finding out the son is not going to be inheriting everything. Like, this seems like a newer letter, which means it's quite possible that it hasn't been put into practice yet, so James is still the main inheritor. Man, he doesn't smile, so he's not a good father, more likely than not. Like, I keep going back to the residue. Like, I know it says there's no way of knowing. But with rodenticide being purchased and less meat being purchased, I have to assume that whoever does the purchasing knew there's going to be no need for more meat. And the one who would do the purchasing would be the butler. Especially with that being a bit circumspect. I can't remember how submitting works in this, so let's go with this theory and see what happens. No, that's not quite right. Maybe I ought to think a bit harder. Okay. So maybe we try this and see what happens? No. Oh. I am not too sure. So what if we use a hint, just to see what the hint. Yep, they're into some pretty kinky stuff, obviously. Yep. I don't think that hint gave me anything. Now we got the ornament. I think means nothing to this. Snooty Higgins. X. I really don't know. No, okay. I'm gonna get used to second hand. Because I'm not too sure what else I'm supposed to be inferring from this one, to be honest. I don't think the Lord was very kind to his son, and someone going by X wanted that to change. No X, no Vax, so X makes sense. Higgins went by A, and we doubt a kid could do that. His arm hurt, but that's really about it. Let's go back to that letter. That gave me nothing again. I'm gonna go hint 3. It's grocery lists, yep. Yes, that's what I thought too. But apparently this is wrong. So have I just got the wrong words? Because he was already changing. So I really doubt it's the wife. Okay, I can just put these back. Just gotta drag them properly. I still think this was right. I do gotta think it's poisoned. Because I also include why the glass was smashed. actually what happened there. Yep. Okay, so I was right about that, and it was actually the motive. Yep. Okay. So the key evidence was the son with the suspected injuries, the red marks on the knuckles, the threatening letter, the rodenticide, the residue, and the glass in the fireplace. Yep, cool. Lord Sterling was a nasty piece of work in the fatherhood department, routinely beating his son with no rhyme or reason. Strangle marks on the victim's neck looked pretty suspicious, but the evidence showed that the lord and lady were no strangers to a bit of bedroom rough and tumble. Besides, the wife had no motive. She was already wealthy and seemed to generally love the guy. Rat poison is a sneaky addition to the shopping list, and a note from the butler threatening Lord Sterling over his behaviour towards young James put Alfred Novex clearly in the frame. He may have protected James from further beatings, but he won't be able to do much else from a prison cell. That's the way it goes. So yeah, that's how this game goes. It's not completely straightforward. It does require a bit of guesswork. And you got to make sure you're using the right, like everything is correct. Obviously, if you have some correct, it doesn't tell you have some correct. How are we on time? That's probably pretty good. I don't want to do too many. Just because like some of them could take longer than others depending if this game gets harder. So for now, thank you all for watching. And I might see you in the next one. Ciao.